Welcome to the Loveable as Fuck show with Sherry Yazzie. I am a plus-size Indigenous woman in a world that tells me not to love myself. I fucking do. Here's how I do it. For more on how to defuck yourself, love yourself, and my emotional resiliency magnifying, life-transforming mindset hacks and self-care tools that you need to know now in order to transform your life and be happy as fuck, go to beloveableaf.com. That's BELOVEABLEAF.com. Today we are talking about how to deal with criticism. What a fun topic! Actually, you know what? Sometimes one of my favorite things around criticism is it like stokes up this fire, this great big fuck you fire. It's like, hide and watch what I do, motherfucker. Right? So sometimes you can take criticism and turn it into a motivation to fucking crush it. Whatever it is, whatever your goal is, whatever you're going for, to kill it. People think maybe you're not going to be a good mom. You be the best goddamn mom that's around. People think that maybe your business isn't going to succeed. Fucking show them. Get your 10K month, 100K month, whatever that looks like for you. People think your marriage isn't going to succeed. Have that motherfucker be the best marriage on the block, right? Sometimes that's one of the things that I like about it. And I'm not inviting criticism, but kind of this stepping back of, we talked about it in the last episode too, is kind of this, it's a more, when people are criticizing you, usually it's more about them than you. And that's a true thing for me. Like, especially if you're going on your merry way. I mean, if you're asking for somebody's critique, if you're asking for somebody's feedback, that's a very different thing. But you're going on your way, skipping through life, and someone's like, wah, 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 wah. That's usually about them. So this is how I deal with criticism. I kind of figure out, okay, it matters who it comes from. I'll say it like that. If it comes from a stranger on the internet, I give almost no fucks ever. They don't know me. They don't really know who I am. Usually whatever they're coming at me with is some bizarre shit that's their own deal, and it's very, very clear and evident. If it's somebody who kind of like a friend group, and it kind of depends on what they're saying, right? It was like, I had this experience. I was in a friend group that I really enjoyed. They were great. But I was hanging out with one of the women, and she was the one who kind of like congregated everybody. And she badmouthed every woman in the group. And I was like, I wonder what you say about me when I'm not around. And I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good anymore. So sometimes a relationship maybe will end, because that relationship did end. But it was, there was some pain there, right? But it was because it's not about criticism, but it was about that whole experience didn't feel good anymore. So sometimes there are people in your life that maybe criticize you all the time. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut them out. That's not necessarily true. But for me, a couple of things would need to happen. Either they would need to go, like, I'm just not here for that. I'm not here for constant criticism. I'm not here for you to continually run me down. I have things to do in the world, and that is not helping. Because let's be clear about criticism. If you're asking for a critique, that's great. That's something else. You want to get better. You're trying to figure out something. You want to learn something. Cool. Someone who continually criticizes you and runs you down all the fucking time. So I had a friend whose mom, oh my gosh, this woman, she was sweet as pie to your face. She was so mean to her. Everything she did, like how she looked, her hair, her clothes, her husband, her kids. I mean, we are talking just nonstop mean. And I was like, And I thought about it. What would I do in that situation? And literally, I would limit my time with that person. Limit my time, right? Again, some people would go so far as to cut them all the way out, but I would limit my time. And then this is the other thing I do. So if somebody in my life is kind of going that way, because sometimes it happens. So my husband and I have been in business together for over 22 years. And man, our first times in business were rough. I remember having like screaming fights over like where the extension cord should go towards our lights, because we used to be photographers. But you know, we did figure it out eventually. But then what happened is kind of we have some things together in our business, and then I've branched off. So I'm doing some of this other stuff, talking about loving yourself and mindset and all of that good shit that I love. And it kind of turned into almost like I'm not doing it good enough. It wasn't going well enough. And so it was like, it kind of turned into that when I was trying to get help, it turned into like a weird kind of vibe. So I sat down and I talked with him about it, kind of like just how it felt and what I was looking for. That when I am looking for help, that I am looking for specific help on how to make this better, not that I'm doing all the wrong things. And that what I need is for him to like believe in me, right? But also to help, to take lots of his knowledge and help me with the things that I'm wanting to do, even if he can't see the end result, even if he doesn't know how it's going to go. And he's a really good guy. It's not like he was like, he's hoping I fail or anything, but it was kind of like this, he's not sure, right, how it's going to go. And so I felt like he kept trying to steer me back over this safer space. And so, like I said, when I think about criticism, who's it coming from? So obviously my relationship with my husband is very, very important to me. So I really got clear and talked to him about what I wanted, how I wanted it to go, what I needed from him. And because that's something he could do. And bless him, he did. He showed up that way. And so criticism, depending on someone, like, and like it can be like that, where it just kind of builds over time, this kind of fear that maybe what I'm doing isn't going to work. And then he acts from there, and then it's like it builds and builds, and then it needs to be shifted because that pattern wasn't working. I hope that makes sense. Or sometimes people who just continue to criticize all the time. The other thing is, so in that conversation, I set boundaries. Like, this is what I want. This is how I would like it to go. This is the kind of help I want. So very, very specific. Boundaries are so important to be able to keep people in your life who criticize. Because I don't think you should burn every bridge. I honestly don't. That's just not the way I operate. However, if there are people who continue to violate my boundary every time, all the time, yes, I do tend to limit my time with them. And because I know I've got to really have strong boundaries the entire time I'm with them, which can be an overload. Like, it's how much fun is it to be around people who you can just chill, be yourself, relax, and you don't have to worry continually because they're not trying to fucking violate your boundaries. So those people I limit, and I really take the time to basically put on my armor, if you will. So for any of you who are listening and are like, okay, armor, let's talk a little bit about that. That sounds interesting to me. So this is for people who, you know, they're empaths. They feel what other people are feeling, especially their loved ones. This is for you if, you know, it's like you go into a crowded space and you feel exhausted after. If you're around people who are struggling and you are like, it just takes all your energies, like gets sucked out. This is for you. I have a training called Become Bulletproof, and it's free. It's on my YouTube channel, totally free. You don't even have to like opt in or give me your email address. And it will walk you through how to create an energy shield. This is an energy shield that I mean, it changed my whole life. Literally, I can shake hands with people. And it's not that I still don't feel kind of what people are feeling. That's something that's still a talent of mine, but it no longer gets in me. Any crazy that's in here in my mind is my own. It's been the biggest relief. So as I was talking about that, I wanted to just say that, like, if you know that there are people that you're going to be around because of your commitment to be there, and you know that they're very critical of you, one of the best things I can tell you is to get an energy shield and put it in. So again, Become Bulletproof, and it's over on YouTube. So my YouTube channel is Loveable AF. Okay, so it depends on the person, right? And so if it's a lot of people, I just don't even give a fuck. The people I do, I decide, you know, how do I need to handle this? Is this a conversation? Is this setting some boundaries? Is this limiting my time? Is this so much so that like I need to shield up and be super prepared and have short visits with these people? Like, how does that work? And then the next part for me is one of the best things that ever happened to me was when I gave up people pleasing. And how I gave up people pleasing was to love myself. So you're like, that sounds so simple, Sherry. I don't know. But why I was people pleasing, right? Why I was doing so much all the time over there, all the time, trying to do be the perfect everything, which was fucking exhausting, right? But I was doing all of that so that people would love me because I needed to be loved. So if I do all that, then you'll love me. But here's the issue with that. If to be loved, you have to do any one thing or any 8 things or any 25 things or any 150 things or any 10,000 things, then that love can go away. So let's say in a relationship that you have, basically to be loved, you need to be quiet and you need to be a good girl, which fuck that, right? But that's what you need. Like, that's where you get the validation. That's where they're like, wow, you're so great. That's where they say nice things about you. That's where they love you. But if you speak out of turn, you're not quiet, you're not being a good girl, all of a sudden, all the love is just like, that is so giving all the power out there all the time. And that's how people pleasing is born, right? Because you want to, make everybody else happy in hopes that they'll love you. Like, that's why I did it anyways. And when I started to love myself, like actually love myself, so that I provide all the love that I need and want. Me, just me. I provide all the love that I need and want. I'm not waiting for somebody else to give it to me. I'm not waiting for somebody else to show me how great I am. I am the generator of all those things and feelings. And I saw they're like, okay, great. I've heard this long enough. I get it. Loving myself is super important, but how do you do it? And there's a process. Just like anything, I honestly think there's a process. And I talked quite a bit about it in the first episodes. But if you are really like, okay, I am ready, then the best thing I can say is get into the course. There's a link in my bio. It literally has the process to help you get there. We focus a lot on the happiness stuff because we're bumping your happiness set point, because at that point you can start working on the loving yourself. But literally the belief work is the same work that I use to love myself. Same exact stuff. It's not something I can do on a podcast because literally it's timing. You do 1 day, 3 day, 7 day, 21 day. Like, all of those need to line up. So if this is like, okay, great, I am believing all this, I am struggling with the criticism, and I do want to love myself. I understand that loving myself is the best thing I could ever do for anything, for my relationship, for my family, for my kids, for my success. Like, I get it. This is the shit that works, because this is always and will forever trump strategy. The new thing you're willing to spend your money on, the new thing that's going to have you feel better, like having it so that you are the person who says whether you feel okay or not. And again, this isn't about toxic positivity, never feeling unhappy, never wanting to lay in bed. This is not that. This is you driving the goddamn boat, though. No one else. So if that's for you, absolutely hop in, get in that course. Okay, so let's get back to how to deal with criticism. The next part of this is one of the things that has always intrigued me. So occasionally, very rarely, and almost never now, but I bump into people who will call me dumb or something like that, which for me is very funny because being smart is something I know I am. Like, I'm real clear on it. It's not a question. It's not something I worry about or wonder about or have any level of insecurity around, right? So when people call me that, it's just it really is just funny to me. It's very clear, right? That's about them, not me. Like, it's funny. But what about when people say something that maybe is a little bit of something that you've got going on? Some shitty belief that you have going on about yourself, and they hit that one, and that one really hurts. And maybe it's true because you have this evidence that it's true. You have this evidence that it's not okay. So when I didn't love myself, when I thought my body was like fat and disgusting and awful, If someone criticized my body, I freaked out hard because it was more proof what a great big piece of shit I was. It was absolute proof. So one of the things I will say with criticism is if you get this, the things that can roll off, that means that there's like not a hook in it for you. There's not something that's going to hook you, but the ones that hook you, it's your own belief. Fuck what the other person said. It's time to look inside yourself and find the belief and rewire it. Because do you want to keep believing that? Did I want to keep believing I was a fat piece of shit? No. What does that provide me in my life? Like, that's not a life that I'm like excited to live, right? But what if my body is lovely, and what if it's a miracle, and what if it feels super good, and what if it's sexy, and what if it's capable of having amazing orgasms? What if my body is this beautiful miracle? That's a different kind of future to live into. That's a different kind of way to show up. And I can tell you here and now, if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. If it's possible for me, it's possible for you. If it's possible for me, it's possible for you, right? You don't have to be thin to love yourself. You don't have to be any one thing to love yourself. You don't have to do anything. Literally just be breathing in and out. That's all. Think about that baby. We talked about them. We hold them. We love them. They're literally barfing on us, peeing on us, pooping on us. It's not like they're even doing things that are lovable. Now I understand, but like, when are we all like, oh, they're so amazing? When they're just being and breathing, period. That's the same level of love you can give yourself. It's totally possible. If I can do it, because I had so much proof that I was unlovable. It's impossible for anybody. So here we go. So that leads us to basically deal with your stuff. If you have any of those little places, guess what? People are going to find them, right? So maybe your thing is maybe that you're not that smart. Well, guess what? People are going to find that. They're going to hit that. And when you decide who you are, it no longer can hurt you. It doesn't even like that. It's laughable. You just laugh. Because I wish I could tell you. Well, actually, I will tell you something kind of cool. I wish I could tell you that no one is ever going to be mean or shitty to you again once you do this work. That's actually not the way it works. But I will tell you, and this is the cool part, those people, for me, for the most part, fuck off. And they don't even talk to me. They don't even tell me. It's just not even there. Those men that think that women's value is if they are Victoria's Secret model thin and stuff, they don't even fuck with me. They're not even interested in what I have to say. They don't want to hang out with me. They don't want to be around me. And I am so very clear that it's not like they're going to come on over and tell me that if I lost weight, how much, better I would do in life. Fuck that. That wouldn't happen because of who I am and what I put off in a very big, clear way. So that's the good news. You still will have criticism, but it gets less and less and less. It just does. And then for me, I only invite the things in, the if you will, criticism of things that I'm choosing, things that I am committed to. Let me give you an example. My son, the other day, he was like, I really don't like it when... He's like, when you yell. And I said, well, I'm not yelling, just first off. He's like, okay, fine. When you raise your voice with that irritated thing, I don't like that. And I was like, okay. All right. So you could call that a criticism. But it was a valid request. And it was something that I wanted to look at. And it's something I am currently working on. Like I said in some other episodes, it's not like you're done. Like, ooh, check. I wish I could tell you that, but there's always continual things, and that made sense to me. So there are people, I absolutely take on these things, and I am available for them to tell me, hey, this isn't working for me, or hey, I don't like that. That's cool. But what happens is you no longer have kind of the people who treat you like you are their punching bag. They're feeling bad, so they're going to start criticizing and picking at you. That can actually be eradicated. In case nobody has told you yet today, you are lovable as fuck just the way you are. To send me your questions or stories, email me at loveableafshow@gmail.com. If you love the show, please comment, like, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast, please leave a review and subscribe to help me get this show in front of more women who need to know that they are lovable as fuck just as they are. Check out the show notes or go to beloveableaf.com. That's beloveableaf.com for more of how to unfuck yourself, love yourself, and be happy no matter your size. I said it before and I will say it again. You are lovable as fuck just as you are.